Welcome to our video on the rise of imperial architecture, examining the legacy of ancient Roman emperors in the built environment. Ancient Rome is widely regarded as one of the greatest civilizations in human history, and its architectural legacy continues to inspire and fascinate people today. In this video, we will explore the grand building projects of the Roman emperors, who transformed the city's landscape with their innovative engineering, artistic expression, and political propaganda. From the iconic Colosseum and the majestic Pantheon to the sprawling aqueducts and the grandiose imperial palaces, the emperor's architectural achievements reflected their power, ambition, and cultural identity. We will examine how the emperor's building projects shaped the city's social, economic, and cultural life, and how they continue to influence modern architecture and urban planning. We will also discuss the controversies and criticisms surrounding the emperor's architectural legacy, including their use of slave labor, their exploitation of resources, and their cultural imperialism. We will ask whether the emperor's architectural achievements were a symbol of progress and innovation, or a sign of excess and tyranny. So join us on this journey through time and space, as we delve into the fascinating world of ancient Roman architecture and the enduring legacy of the emperors who shaped it. Architecture played a significant role in the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. From the early Republic to the late Imperial period, Roman emperors used architecture as a tool to showcase their power, wealth, and influence. Their architectural achievements not only served practical purposes but also represented their political propaganda and cultural identity. This essay examines the rise of imperial architecture in ancient Rome, focusing on the legacy of Roman emperors in the built environment. It explores how the emperor's ambition and patronage transformed the urban landscape of Rome, how their architectural innovations and techniques influenced later civilizations, and how their legacy still resonates today. The rise of imperial architecture. The Roman Empire emerged as a dominant power in the Mediterranean world in the 1st century BCE, following a series of military conquests and political reforms. During this period, Rome experienced a massive expansion of its territory, population, and wealth, which had significant implications for its architecture. The early Roman Republic was characterized by modest and functional architecture, which reflected the conservative values of the patrician elite. Public buildings were mainly constructed for practical purposes, such as the Senate House, Curia, and the Temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus. Residential architecture was also straightforward, consisting of rectangular houses with atriums and courtyards. However, with the rise of imperial power, Roman architecture underwent a radical transformation. The emperors saw architecture as a means of expressing their political authority and magnificence, and they invested heavily in public building projects that showcased their power and ambition. One of the most significant examples of imperial architecture in Rome is the Colosseum, built by Emperor Vespasian in 70 CE. The Colosseum was the largest amphitheater in the world, with a capacity of 50,000 spectators. It was used for gladiatorial contests, animal hunts, and other public spectacles that entertained and impressed the Roman people. The Colosseum's design was innovative and influential, incorporating advanced engineering techniques, such as vaulted arches and barrel vaults, that allowed for greater flexibility and stability. The Colosseum's facade was adorned with decorative elements, such as columns, arcades, and statuary, that reflected the emperor's taste and style. Another iconic example of imperial architecture in Rome is the Pantheon, built by Emperor Hadrian in 125 CE. The Pantheon was a temple dedicated to all the gods, and it was renowned for its dome, which was the largest unsupported dome in the world at the time. The Pantheon's design was a feat of engineering and aesthetics, combining the traditional elements of Greek and Roman architecture with new innovations, such as the oculus, a circular opening in the center of the dome that allowed natural light to enter. The Pantheon's interior was decorated with colorful marbles, intricate mosaics, and frescoes that depicted scenes from mythology and history. The Pantheon's dome and its interior decoration were meant to impress visitors and convey the power and majesty of the Roman gods and emperors. Other notable examples of imperial architecture in Rome include the Trajan's Forum, the Baths of Caracalla, and the Circus Maximus. Trajan's Forum was a massive public space built by Emperor Trajan in the 2nd century CE, which contained a basilica, a temple, and a triumphal column that commemorated Trajan's military victories. The Baths of Caracalla were one of the largest and most luxurious public baths in Rome, built by Emperor Caracalla in the early 3rd century CE. The baths included hot and cold pools, saunas, exercise rooms, and libraries, and they were decorated with lavish mosaics and sculptures. The Circus Maximus was a massive chariot racing stadium that was also used for other public events, such as religious ceremonies and public executions. It could accommodate up to 250,000 spectators, making it one of the largest buildings in ancient Rome. The Circus Maximus was built in the 6th century BCE and was expanded and renovated by several emperors, including Julius Caesar and Trajan. The stadium was designed to impress and entertain the Roman people, showcasing the emperor's wealth and power. In addition to their grand public building projects, the Roman emperors also invested in urban planning and infrastructure projects that transformed the city's landscape. They built new roads, aqueducts, and bridges that facilitated trade, transportation, and communication. They also created new public spaces, such as parks, gardens, and squares, that enhanced the city's beauty and livability. The most famous example of Roman urban planning is the Appian Way, a 350-mile-long road that connected Rome to the southern part of Italy. The Appian Way was built in 312 BCE and was paved with large stones that made it durable and smooth. It was used for military, commercial, and religious purposes and was considered a symbol of Rome's power and reach. The Roman aqueducts were also an impressive feat of engineering and urban planning. The aqueducts were designed to transport water from distant sources to the city, providing clean and abundant water for drinking, bathing, and sanitation. The aqueducts were built using arches, vaults, and conduits that allowed for the water to flow downhill, and they were decorated with artistic elements, such as fountains, sculptures, and inscriptions. The most famous Roman aqueduct is the Aqua Claudia, built by Emperor Claudius in 52 CE. The Aqua Claudia was 45 miles long and had a capacity of 190,000 cubic meters per day. It supplied water to several districts of Rome, including the Baths of Trajan and the Colosseum. The legacy of Imperial architecture. The legacy of imperial architecture in ancient Rome is multifaceted and far-reaching. On one hand, the emperor's architectural achievements have left a lasting impression on the city's built environment, inspiring later generations of architects and urban planners. For example, the Colosseum's innovative engineering techniques and design elements have been emulated and adapted in later buildings, such as stadiums, theaters, and arenas. The Pantheon's dome has been studied and admired by architects and engineers for centuries, influencing the design of other dome structures, such as St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City. On the other hand, the emperor's architectural legacy has also been criticized for its excessive extravagance, political propaganda, and cultural imperialism. Some scholars argue that the emperor's building projects were intended to glorify themselves rather than serve the public good. They point out that many of the emperor's public buildings were built on the backs of slave laborers and exploited resources. Moreover, the emperor's architectural legacy has been used as a symbol of Western civilization's dominance and superiority over other cultures. The Roman Empire's conquest and colonization of other lands, such as Greece and Egypt, resulted in the appropriation and transformation of their cultural heritage into a Romanized version. The rise of imperial architecture in ancient Rome was a complex and dynamic process that reflected the emperor's ambition, patronage, and cultural identity. The emperor's architectural achievements transformed the city's landscape, created new public spaces, and enhanced its beauty and livability. However, the emperor's architectural legacy is also a subject of debate and criticism, as it raises questions about the ethics and politics of architectural production and representation. The legacy of imperial architecture in ancient Rome continues to inspire and challenge architects and scholars today. And that's a wrap on our video about the rise of imperial architecture, examining the legacy of ancient Roman emperors in the built environment. We hope you enjoyed this journey through time and space, as we explored the grand building projects of the Roman emperors and their enduring legacy on our modern world. From the iconic Colosseum and the majestic Pantheon to the sprawling aqueducts and the grandiose imperial palaces, the emperor's architectural achievements continue to inspire and awe people today, as testaments to the human capacity for creativity, ingenuity, and ambition. But as we have seen, the emperor's architectural legacy is not without controversy and criticism, as it reflects their political agenda, social hierarchies, and cultural biases. It reminds us of the complexity and contradictions of human history and the need for critical reflection and ethical engagement. So let us honor the emperor's architectural achievements while acknowledging their limitations and failures. Let us learn from the past and build a better future, one that embraces diversity, sustainability, and inclusivity. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we hope to see you again soon. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos on history, culture, and the built environment.